Hi everyone, today's lesson is on order of operations. As a reminder, you do not need to write down everything that we'll cover in this video, but be sure to jot down important information and at least one example of each type of problem that we'll cover. Also remember that you can pause the video to jot down important notes, rewind to view information again, and fast forward if you think you got it. Just be careful, make sure you don't fast forward too much that you miss out on something important. So we'll get started with explaining what order of operations are first. Order of operations is a rule that tells you the specific order that you have to follow when you're performing mathematical operations. So that's like adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing at the basics. As a reminder, some of you might already know about this, but I like to use gems as a reminder of the order. So G standing for groupings, E standing for exponents, M for multiply and divide, and S for subtract and add. So the reminders I like to give for G, the groupings, is to start from the inside and work your way out. And if you do have groupings, you're going to follow gems for all the numbers inside. So you always start with your groupings. That's your parentheses, your braces, your brackets, if you see it in a math problem. The next type of operation you're going to perform is exponents. And then with exponents, my reminder is just to do repeated multiplication and not just repeated addition. For M, which stands for multiply and divide, it's important to work from left to right. So it's whatever you see first, whether it's multiplication or division. Sometimes people forget that and they think that it's always multiplication first and then division. That's actually not true. It's whatever you see first. So if you see division first and then multiplication going from left to right, you're doing the division first. So it's important to go from left to right, whichever comes first. Same thing with the S in gems. You're going to perform addition or subtraction from left to right, whichever one comes first. So just because S stands for subtraction doesn't mean that you always perform subtraction first. If you see addition coming first from left to right, then perform that one first. So everything is from left to right. Multiplication and division are grouped together because they are inverse operations. And subtraction and addition are grouped together because they're inverse operations with each other. So make sure you have this jotted down before we head on over to work on some examples. You might also want to put this into your notebook so that you have an easy way of remembering the order. Groupings first, then exponents, then multiplication or division, whichever comes first, left to right, and then lastly subtraction or addition, whichever comes first, left to right. All right, let's take a look at some examples. For this example, they would like you to evaluate the following expression. And remember, evaluate just means to solve for the answer. So go ahead and pause the video and try to solve for this answer. All right, so I'm going to write down gems on the side to remind me that I need to do my groupings first, my exponents, multiplication and division, whichever comes first, left to right, and then subtraction or addition, whichever comes first, left to right. And then I'm going to write my problem over again on the right-hand side so that I have room to do my work. Looking for groupings first, so that's parentheses, braces, brackets, any of that. I don't see any of that, so that's done, the first step. Next step is to work on exponents. I have an exponent to work on here. Now here is my hint to you. There's a lot of math going on here, so you might be tempted to just do everything from left to right. Just 4 times 6 is 24, and then divide by 2 to the 3rd power and just go in whatever order that you want to go in. Don't do that, because then you're not following gems, the order of operations. So what I do to remind myself to go in this order is I will underline the first step that I have to go in. So I remember to only do that part. I'm underlining my exponents part so that I remember I'm not worried about this stuff yet. I'm also going to copy down whatever I didn't touch yet. So I'm ignoring 4 times 6 and the division sign. I'm only going to work on this answer. So 2 to the third power, remember that was something that we had to be careful about because it's exponents. We don't want to say that it's equal to 2 times 3. That's not the same thing. What I do on the side is I'll expand it out. 2 to the third power is really 2 multiplied by itself and 1 3 times. So if I write it out, it'll remind me that it's not 6. 2 times 2 is 4, and then times another 2. So that answer is 8, not 6. I'm going to put that here. So exponents is done. Now I go on to multiplication or division, whichever I see from the left to right first. I see multiplication first. So 4 times 6 is 24. I'm going to copy down everything else that I didn't touch. And I still have another division. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So 3 is my final answer. I don't have any subtraction or addition, so that's done. My answer is 3. So again, my tips to you is to underline each step that you're working on and then show your work on the side so it reminds you not to assume your answer because you might get something wrong. All right, in this problem you have to match each expression to its exponential form. Go ahead and pause the video and try it on your own first. Okay, it looks like I have a lot of the math to do here on the left-hand side and I have answers on the right-hand side. So let me go ahead and take a look at the first one. 3 plus 2 is in parentheses. That's our groupings. So it's going to be our G in gems later. And then I also have 5 to the third power and then 10 squared divided by 2. I'm going to tackle this first one first. I got to do my gems first, my G. So that's the groupings. I have to figure out what's inside these parentheses first. So I'm not even going to bother with the times 5. 3 plus 2 I have to solve first, which is 5. And then I'm going to copy down the times 5. That's the last step I have to do. There's no exponents, so I got to go on to multiplication or division. 5 times 5 is 25. Once I have the answer, I'm done. And then 5 to the third power, there's only exponents, so I got to do that. 1 times 5 times 5 times 5, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 5 times 5 is 25, and then I still have a times 5 at the end. 25 times 5 is 125. And then for this one, I'm going to follow gems. No groupings. I do have an exponent, so let me figure out the exponent first. I got to figure out this part first. 10 squared. 10 squared is the same as 1 times 10 2 times. 10 times 10 is 100, so it should be 100 up on the top, and then I divide by 2 as part of my multiplication and division. 100 divided by 2 is 50, and that's it. There's no subtraction or addition. So it looks like it should be 25, then 125, then 50. Let's see, I don't have a 25, but 5 squared is the same as 1 times 5 times 5, 2 times. So this one should be 25. So it looks like I just have to flip these two cards because 125 should be down here and 5 squared is the same as 25. So let me go ahead and fix that. And there we go. Let me know if you have any questions as you work on these problems, and I'll see you in class.